Hello and welcome to OverShadow ShadowCast. We host Thomas Anderson and Abigail Moat.
Hello everybody, thanks for coming back.
Do we have a good episode this week?
Hopefully.
Say more words.
Hopefully you will find this interesting. And come back next week.
Say more different words.
I don't know.
You don't know any more words?
I don't know any more words. That is my entire repertoire of words.
Okay. Prestidigitation.
What?
I don't know. Prestidigitation. Prestidigitation. It sounds a wee bit like the press are going back to using typewriters. Prestidigitation. Like they're de-digitalising and going back to pen and paper. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Oh, you have a story for us, so we'll move on to that rather than me try to work out what words.
Well, it's not a story.
It's a story of an adventure that you had.
Yeah, because I've not been playing anything this week because I got a cold. It's height of summer, where the weather is roasting, and I managed to catch a cold.
Why would that stop you playing the Xbox?
Because when I get sick, I don't want to do anything.
Lazyitis.
No, it's not lazyitis. It's like that feeling where it's like everything's like kind of stuffed, like your nose and everything's like stuffed up, your ears are blocked, and you just like, you feel very claustrophobic. Yeah, because, so shall I go on to what I did this week?
Yes.
So this week, it being my birthday and everything.
Your birthday?
My birthday.
The day when you were made... When you were made buff.
When I was made buff. So I had to decide what I wanted to do, and I decided, the V&A opened up in Dundee this year. I might as well go have a look at that, because everybody was kind of like saying, oh yeah, you should definitely check it out. So I went, and it just so happened that I didn't know that there was a gaming exhibit on.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it was actually really good. But the only downside is you have to pay to get in, but I think it was worth the £12. It said between £6 and £12, but for me it was £12 to get in.
Mm.
And so I went tottering around it by myself, and it was really interesting because they sort of it was broken up into sections, and I don't want to give too much away for people who would want to go and experience this, because I think it is something you need to go and experience, because talking about it can only give it so much justice.
Uh-huh.
The first section was kind of the process of creating a game. So the three I remember, because I'd actually heard of these games, was Journey, The Last of Us, and Dark Souls. So you go around this room and you can see the conceptual art for all these games, and everything's sectioned off into each game. So you have this conceptual art for, like, say, Journey, and you learn that Journey was something that the game developers wanted you to have an emotional experience with, so that's why there's no audio or text gameplay footage, to the best of my knowledge. There might be a little bit. I've never played the game. I've seen people play it. And it had all the original drawings, so all the original notebooks and everything there, which was really fascinating for all of these games. They kind of did this... each section was kind of like repeated just for each game. So conceptual art, the screenplay for it, and also when they talked about The Last of Us, there was a massive cork board on the wall, and it had the year within the game, how everything was going to be structured, like spring, summer, autumn, and winter.
What game was that, sorry?
The Last of Us. And you saw like the motion capture suits that they used for it. It also shows how characters you don't control can learn from the character you do control. At least I think that's what it was, because it talked about predictive maneuvers.
So sort of like, is it AI allies or AI enemies?
AI allies.
Allies. So they can learn to support you or copy you depending on what's beneficial.
Yeah, because of The Last of Us, do you know what the story's about?
No. Well,
do you know who the two main characters are?
It's you
don't need to give them names, but do you know who?
It's a man with a beard and a young lady.
So the young girl can learn, because I don't know how much you play as each character. I can't remember. I've seen people play it, but I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But you can, I think, learn. I think the girl learns from you.
Aye.
So yeah. For me, it was more fascinating because watching the conceptual art, like having how many designs they had of this one character. And then they said, right, this is going to be our final creation, and watching just solely move about on a screen that's just black and you just see her, and then watching people in motion capture suits.
Ah, right, so it showed you how they... Right.
Yeah, but I found the Dark Souls bit more fascinating because the conceptual art for that was obviously, as if you've ever seen clips of the game, of any of the games, you understand that's quite it's a very fantasy driven world.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. So they also had a part where they just had a guy, like a video of a guy playing the game, but you just saw his hands on the control, showing you how to defeat one of the bosses and talking you through how to defeat one of the bosses. And then below it was a smaller screen of all the mistakes you can make. And then at one point it had just headphones that you could listen to the music from it, like the score of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty cool because you could see the screen where this guy was playing the game, but there was no audio for that over there, just him talking. And then when I put the headphones on, I just literally just looked over and felt like I was actually playing the game, which was pretty cool. And then after that section, you go into like controversies that games have had.
Right, okay.
So like gun violence, the element of sexism, of whitewashing, of well, not so much whitewashing, I don't know what the actual phrase would be.
It's not whitewashing because
No.
you don't need to do that in a video game. If you want to pick a white actor, that's not...
I think the lack
talking,
of diversity, sorry, that's the phrase I'm looking
unless
for.
they're talking about the fact that they're hiring white voice actors for roles.
No, sorry, my apologies. The phrase is lack of diversity.
What?
In the race and gender of main characters.
Yeah, but I'm afraid that that's not actually as racist as you'd like to think it is.
No, but that's something that they talk about.
Or as they would like to think that it is.
Well, that's part of this exhibit. And
no,
they also...
but the way you're saying that is treating it as a fact. It's not a lack of diversity in the characters. It's the fact that the major countries that actually make games are white. It's Japan and white countries in the rest of the world. So when people go into a game and want to make a character that they recognise, that they connect with, the person will be white.
I'm just talking about what they were talking about, because there was also a massive screen which was on a loop, and they interviewed loads of different people from the world of gaming journalism, people that make the games, people that produce the games, anybody that has something to do with a game of some description, and they asked them questions, and these were playing on a loop, which was quite interesting to sit down and actually listening to some of them. And then after that, they had a section which was again a massive screen, and you see things like fan art. There's clips of like the gaming championships, like World Gaming Championships and things like that, which is very impressive when you look at a stadium that's filled with people watching people play a video game.
Yeah. See, I would never watch somebody do it for excellence. Like, that's not the point. Like, I've often found that when I'm watching someone, they're either playing a game very, very well, which is just, it's almost muscle memory, which is not that impressive to me, or they're playing it worse than me. Because if I want to see somebody play a game really, really well, I want to see them play like cooperative really well, like they're actually a unit, or I want to see them play Mass Effect or Dragon Age really well because they make a really good powerful character and do the story and all this, do all the missions very well. I don't want to watch somebody twitch reflex kills in something like Fortnite and win by themselves, because that's just boring to me, and it's not impressive either. Like, if you've trained your body to do that, that's not impressive that you would win. Yeah.
And then there was a section on like the future of gaming, what people are doing currently in gaming. There was this really cool thing where it was like an old art school arcade machine, that somebody had made it that you could wear as a backpack. So like you could walk around.
It's a heavy backpack.
No, but it is. It's like this heavy. It's this backpack type of thing. You can wear it as a backpack, but it's not an actual backpack. It's just a game. And you can walk around.
So sorry, is it the size of a backpack to look like an arcade machine, or is it an arcade?
It's an arcade machine that you can wear on your back and walk around. and people could play it.
A full-size arcade machine.
Yeah, hold on, I'll get a picture of it.
There is no way you'd be able to just carry that.
That's somebody wearing it on a back.
Okay, that is not a full-size arcade machine. I meant the entire big black full-size cabinet.
It's enough.
It's just the screen and the button presses.
The joysticks, yeah.
The joysticks and the buttons. That's fine, right? Also, it wouldn't work because as soon as you hammered on a button, the person would just come flying backwards. But that's fine.
Yeah.
I thought you meant a full-size cabinet.
No.
It's been like hollowed out or something. There's no way you're picking that up.
But it was really interesting to see this, like the future of gaming. But it was a bit annoying because, obviously, because there's like bright lights and everything like that, like 6-year-olds and things like that, just like running wild in that room, just trying everything, which kind of gave anybody who was actually interested in the mechanics of it not really a lot of chance to really go up and have a look at it.
Yeah, basically that's not the fault of the kids.
I would suggest you go see this when school's back in.
Yeah.
Because the exhibit's... I didn't realise the exhibit had been running since the 20th of April. And it's only there till the 8th of September.
Right, but just to get back to the kids' point, that's probably parents that think that video games are for kiddies, so I've just let them run riot thinking it's for kids and have not realised that it's
just
not.
Just that room though, because it was actually fascinating watching people come in. Because there was people that were there that you probably wouldn't think would be anything interested in this thing. But they were really interested. They were looking at it. They were going through. They were reading everything because there was a lot of plaques that you could read, a lot of information. So that was pretty fascinating. But like I said, I've just given you a snippet of what's actually in this exhibit.
Oh, but there was one thing that you did mention that you haven't brought up.
What?
A particular... Well, was there more you wanted to say?
No, have I forgotten to say something?
Well, there was a particular individual that you said that was mentioned for a particular reason.
Yeah, I just said it for you.
One of these particular individuals that I am not a great fan of.
Well, actually, I said sarcastically, your most favourite person in the world was mentioned in this quite a bit. I need to I can never pronounce her second name. Sarkisia.
To be honest, if I'm being fair to her family, you don't really need to say the second name.
No, they just brought up feminine frequency when they were talking about sexism in games.
Feminist frequency.
I don't know that thing.
Feminist frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah. How so? What did they
just
say?
saying that she brought there's been a lot of controversy over what she has said. You know, there's been negative press towards it as well as positive press towards what she's been saying. But at the end of the day, it has brought up that conversation about women in gaming.
It has, but it's brought up that conversation in the worst way possible.
I know, but what I'm saying is it's brought up that conversation.
Yeah, but it's brought up the conversation in a way that has been negative because people don't want... she's forced conversation on people. Bringing up the conversation and forcing people to talk about a difficult subject is fine, but not when you force them to talk about it in the way you want to talk about it. There are some people that you have to give people the freedom to talk amongst themselves, to talk in the way they need to. You can't dictate that much. And like when you're making videos saying that Destiny is sexist because the women sit down like with their legs out to the side and the men sit down cross-legged, well, that's clearly sexism because one is a stance of domination and one is a stance of sublimation. Well, it's not clearly sexism because it's also what actually happens.
Yeah.
Not many women will sit down on the grass with their legs crossed. A lot of them will do something weird and put them underneath, they'll put them out to the side, they'll put them straight out ahead of them. It's just not happens as often. Men, on the other hand, 80% of the time, plonk down, legs crossed.
Yeah.
That
comes from a thing of like the past where it was deemed unladylike to sit with your legs any other way.
Well, it's not just unladylike. Women don't... I know it's quite anatomical and we're trying to be kid friendly, but women don't like to... There's certain vulnerable areas, right, in both anatomies. Men have slightly more habit of showing them off, women have slightly more habit of covering them up.
No, but it is all from...
it's not all from.
It is.
It's not all from.
Because it was deemed inappropriate to sit like that.
But that's a false... is it a false tautology or a false comparison? You're trying to say that because some of it was caused by that, it all was. That's not how it works. Women don't like to just... Some women, don't like to just expose certain areas. They like to cover them up either way. For example, if a woman's wearing a short skirt, she's likely to do that weird thing where they sit down and make sure it's in the right place and keep their legs tightly shut. They're not going to sit there and just V it up. That's the point. There's certain areas of the female anatomy that a lot of women like to cover up, like with parts of the rest of their body.
How do we get to this part?
Well,
Can we get back to the gaming thing?
No, we're talking about Anita Sarkeesian, and I'm not sure how much. I that in itself makes me want to go along and have a look, because she's done some really silly, weird things that haven't helped her cause at all, unless her cause is to make herself slightly more famous. Like, she had this one story where she did an expose into Hitman Absolution, in which, I've told you this before, you could kill some strippers.
Yeah.
So she decided that game was sexist, even though you can kill basically anybody.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. You choose what to do to achieve your objective. You can kill the innocent or not. And she decided to cherry pick out the strippers and said that was sexist because of it and all that. But like, the guards are mostly male.
Yeah.
Just like they are in real life. And she didn't say that was sexist.
No.
So I would actually, there's a part of me now that wants to go and see what they've said about her. It would be interesting to go and see what they said about some of her blunders, because if you don't call out people like that, you just end up going down the wrong path anyway, just in a different direction.
It was a little section. You have to go up to a booth and you have to read her name, but they actually talk about it at some point up on this big screen.
Yeah, are there many like spoilers and stuff?
How do you mean?
Like, would they tell you how they ended
No,
and stuff?
no,
or what's happening in them?
I don't. Yes and no. No, I don't know. No, I wouldn't say it spoiled anything, because I know how The Last of Us ends, and it didn't talk about that. I don't know how the end of... I think I remember how the end of Journey finishes, but they don't talk about that. I've never seen the end of Dark Souls.
It's...
I don't understand why they ever called it Dark Souls. They should just call it Game of Death.
I'm not entirely sure if that would have sold as well. But, yeah, I think I'll have a look at that at some point.
Well, you've got till the 8th of September.
So you said there's a difference between getting into the museum and the exhibit.
Yeah, the museum is free. You can walk around the museum free, but the exhibit costs to get in.
Right.
And I think the reason is because obviously they've got different exhibits and they need to create things for the exhibits, so maybe that's how they're recouping their money. It's a really nice building. It's a really cool building. You don't think it's as big as it's going to be on the inside. But also there's an exhibit on like Scottish design and stuff like that. I would highly recommend you go see, which is free to go have a look at.
Okay.
So that's what I did, and then I got sick. I was getting sick while I was there, but
I'll definitely go now.
I had a cold. Still have it. Germs. Cut that bit out where I say germs.
So what happened with the hospital? What's the thing that's happening?
Well, I don't know. I just read it on the BBC saying that the Children's Hospital, which they spent £150 million building in Edinburgh, may have to be stripped down.
Oh, Edinburgh?
Yeah.
When did they build it?
Been building it for like a year or two. The new Children's Hospital. That's why they said they had to close the one in Livingston, because they were going to open up one in Edinburgh.
Right.
But it was supposed to be open this year, or early next year. But there was problems with the drainage system. Like, health and safety inspectors came in saying, no, you can't open it with this level of chaos going on. So what they're going to possibly have to do is demolish it, basically, to fix the drainage, because it's like X amount of feet underground.
Did the BBC actually specifically say who would be paying for it?
I can't remember. I need to look it up.
Because, that's a government contract, not a council contract, right? Yeah.
There you go. I'll bring up the article like that. Tell me when you want me to move it up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you copied the phrase X number of feet.
Well, I didn't know that that's what they said.
Mm-hmm. Stop.
That's it.
Right. That doesn't actually have said that the Scottish Government would have known about the problem 36 months ago, but absolutely nobody said that they were involved in the decision. The story actually expressly says that the decision was taken by the consortium that's building it, the contractors. So they would be legally responsible to rebuild it.
Yeah.
Right. Are you done talking about the V&A?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to find a way.
But like I said, what I was talking about was just a small snippet of it. I don't think how I've described it really has done it justice. So it is something you need to go and experience firsthand.
Okay.
So what's our first story today, Tommy? Don't know why I said it like that.
Okay,
Tommy.
well then, Abigail. Our first story is that a voice actor for Fire Emblem Three Houses, a game that recently came out for the Switch, which is doing very, very well for itself, was removed from the game after a number of allegations of abuse. He is to be replaced with another voice actor in an upcoming patch.
Okay.
The abuse allegations range from anger and emotional abuse to improper sexual contact.
Mm-hmm.
The voice actor in question apologised on Tumblr for the abuse he had perpetrated and how he had mistreated his friends, colleagues and significant others.
Yeah.
So originally I thought this is a bit wrong. He shouldn't be replaced because of allegations.
Right.
This has not been convicted of anything yet.
Okay.
But when he comes out onto Tumblr and apologises, then that's like he said he did it. That's an admission.
Yeah.
There's no need for guilt when the person has.
Yeah, it sounds like he's admitted to it.
Yeah, it's obviously different if there's a court case, but I don't think there is in this instance. They're just saying that he was a not very nice person, and he's admitted to it. So they pulled him, and I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Because he said that he did it. It's good that he apologised, although the apology may have been to try and, like...
Why was it on Tumblr? Why apologise on Tumblr? That's such a weird...
No idea. But he apologised on Tumblr, and it could have been just to try and sort of head off what might have been coming up.
Yeah.
But it's still good that he did it, and it was a full apology. It wasn't like a paragraph or two, it was like pages.
Yeah.
So he went into
Maybe
detail.
That's why.
It wasn't like Twitter, so-saws.
Yeah, maybe that's why it was Tumblr, because you're able to put a lot more text on there, yeah. Well, I presume.
Yeah. And it's good that he was removed. from the game, and it's good that they waited. I hope that they waited until there was an apology to be removed, but I'm not necessarily sure they did, and that's not right for me.
No, I think you need to. It's a difficult one, I think.
I don't think it is difficult.
I don't think that I don't think they should have done anything till either he confessed to it or it was brought out in court, because if you have that mentality where as soon as an somebody has accused you, if there's an an accusation doesn't mean guilt.
An accusation.
I don't know.
Accusation.
An accusation doesn't necessarily automatically mean you're guilty, because we have seen in the press before where people have been accused of things and it's been completely wrong and people have just done it because for various different reasons. But then again, obviously there have been many occasions where it has been proved right. It's a difficult one for the studio because it can take a while for an accusation to either be proven false or correct.
Well, then they should just obey the law. They should just turn around and say, look, we assume guilt, we assume innocence, therefore he is innocent until we prove guilty, and then we assume guilt or no guilt or prove guilt, and then we can do something. But we can't fire someone for being accused of something.
No.
And if everybody did that, there wouldn't be a problem. Because it would be considered standard
practice. Practice, the word's
industry.
Okay.
Practice, yeah. I'm looking for the word industry was what I was trying to remember.
Okay.
And
standard practice within the industry.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And that would be fine. Everybody would get it. It's a perfectly reasonable position to have. But at the minute, the accusation's enough. There was a similar story to this. Do you remember the game I was really interested in called Judgement?
Nope.
So it was a game made by the people who make Yakuza.
Okay.
I think it's set in the same place as that, but I think it might even be in the same story timeline, but it's a different thing. So you act as an ex-lawyer who was he was a defense lawyer in Japan who was he's become a private investigator.
Mm-hmm.
And the original setting of the story, would you like to hear it?
Quickly.
Okay, so the beginning of the story is that in Japan, a lot of people who are accused of crimes, it's like 99.9999% conviction rate.
Yeah.
If it goes to trial, you're getting convicted, right?
Yeah.
It's like Cardassia. Now, this guy won one of his cases very early in his career, and everyone was like, it was all about how amazing he was, and everybody else who'd been there for years who hadn't won a case was like, I'm so angry you got that case, because now everybody thinks you're an amazing defence lawyer.
Yeah.
But then, just a little while later, the person who he defended has to get him to defend him again, because he was accused of murder, was found innocent, not guilty, and then I think goes and somebody else dies, and that person's being defended again. So the person kind of stops being a lawyer. They don't actually mention whether or not the guy who who is accused of that murder actually did it or not, but I think that's the idea, that at least he thinks that he did. So he's like, oh God, I got somebody off, which is very rare in our system, and then they went and killed someone. So he's all sort of torn up about it, I think.
Yeah.
Well, the original voice actor, and I think facial actor and all the rest of it, mocap, was arrested over suspicion of cocaine use.
All right.
Which is a massive thing in Japan. But he was arrested over it. So
not
they
convicted.
removed it. No, but that's because I can understand that happening because, in Japan it's a huge thing and they could still change him before the game was released. But in Japan, being accused of drug use, well, one, like I said, you're basically going to be convicted. They only accuse you when they can definitely prove it.
Yeah.
And it's a huge social taboo. I'm trying to get it into words because the social taboo for that sort of thing isn't as big here.
Yeah.
It's not as big. As big as it might be, it's not as big.
Well, I know that is if you ever go to Japan or things like that, they have very strict regulations on what medications you can bring into the country.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think you bring like codeine and stuff like that in because they've got a very strict drug regulation over there.
Yeah. I actually was looking into that for personal interest, and I couldn't find out if you can take antihistamines.
I think you can take antihistamines.
I think you can, but you have to go through a lot of paper regulations.
You need to take it. Always have a note with. No matter where you're traveling, always have a doctor's note with you, telling you need to have this medication with you.
Do you know the game's called Judge Eyes in Japan?
What?
Judge Eyes.
What?
Well, it happens about half an hour in. Do you want me to tell you why the name might be the name?
What?
Judge Eyes. It's written down on the piece of paper. Judge Eyes.
Okay, why?
There's a series of murders that are being investigated, and in these murders...
In the game or in real life?
In the game. In these murders, all the eyes are removed.
Nice. That's a pleasant game.
I don't know why they changed the name from Judge Eyes to Judgment. In Japan, it's Judge Eyes. In the rest... In like America and Canada and Britain, it's
I suppose maybe it's a phrase that's maybe commonplace in Japan but not over here.
Or possibly the translation sounds cooler as Judge Eyes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
who knows?
But yeah, so that game was delayed so that the actor could be properly replaced. Yeah. Now, I still would have preferred an actual conviction, but the way that the Japanese system works, if you're accused, you're basically guilty. I don't think it's like Cardassia, where they...
It's just in the game that if you're accused, you're basically convicted.
No, in real life.
Right.
I think.
I don't think that's true.
Have a look.
In Japan, the criminal justice system has a conviction rate that exceeds 99%, including guilty plea cases. Wow.
So if you're... Yeah, there you go. It's very unlikely that you are going to get found to be not guilty.
Yeah.
I don't think that's because they run a Cardassian-style system.
What does that mean?
In Star Trek, the Cardassians prove your guilt, then put you in court so they can demonstrate why you're guilty, and your defence lawyer is simply there to coach you through the process, not to actually find you innocent.
Right.
There's no defence allowed. Whereas I think in Japan, it's just that they do such a job before they take you into trial that you don't have a defence.
Right.
They only take it there if you can definitely get a conviction. I mean, they have some interesting laws about how long you can question a suspect for. I think it's a month, but that's basically... So I can kind of get that.
No, it's good. I think it's good that they've replaced the voice actor in this game.
Yeah, Fire Emblem, yes. I think that was the right thing to do. It's nice to see that they still have some attachment to morality.
Because it shows that there's a zero tolerance for that kind of thing. You know, it shows that we will not accept this kind of these kinds of behaviours, this kind of actions. Actions have consequences.
No, it's not zero tolerance, but it is that people will be punished. There's not an acceptance of it like there was before. It's good that he was replaced so that you can demonstrate that, because there was a long time where talent, especially in places like Hollywood, could do whatever it wanted.
Yeah, not anymore. We're cracking down.
No, I'm not convinced of that, but in video games they are. I don't think you can fire everybody who gets accused of something as cracking down. It's not cracking down,
It's not so much that people are firing people who are accused of things. It's the fact that people are not taking it seriously and investigating it. And people who are being punished. Anyway, I think maybe we need to move on because the next story is a bit bigger.
Yes. So E3, which is the Electronic Entertainment Exposition, is run by the ESA, which is the Electronic Software Association. has accidentally released the personal data of over 2,000 games journalists,
Whoa.
YouTubers and analysts. The ESA failed to secure the data properly and were warned about this a month before they eventually dealt with it. This data does include home addresses.
Oh no.
Currently, there are several groups of individuals and companies preparing lawsuits. When the ESA was informed, they took the web page down apparently, because it was on their website.
Yeah.
But they forgot to remove the information cache, so it was there for anyone to find if they followed the correct link, which was left on a page which was still available on ESA servers. So they sort of left the information there
and the way
ways
to find
it.
Yeah.
But they took down the original presentation. And what I heard was they took down the original presentation straight away, but left all the other stuff there.
Yeah.
Now, I said there was lawsuits ongoing. This is an interesting one because the lawsuits from a civil point of view may actually do some damage to the ESA because there's so many people who can sue them.
Yeah.
And in America you can sue for a lot of stuff. This is probably one of the few things I agree with. But
because it's data breach. It's a breach of GPA.
What?
DPA.
Data Protection Act.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Data Protection Act is an act of UK law. It doesn't apply in the US.
Oh.
So any fines or subsequent issues or compensation they have to pay mandatorily outside of lawsuits, or maybe even the maximum that can be sued for, is different in America. It's lower because of the fact than it otherwise would be, because of the fact they've got basically no data protection law.
Yeah.
It's basically non-existent. Unfortunately for the ESA, and thankfully for everybody else, this includes all gamers by the way, because the ESA is not something which is pro-consumer. For example, they're lobbying the US government to and legislature to not have loot boxes banned or controlled in any way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for the ESA, the information collected included European individuals and companies, which means
fantastic.
This becomes a GDPR situation.
Yeah.
General Data Protection, GDPR, is a regulatory framework which obliges any company that collects data to meet certain assurances of security, which if violated can result in a maximum fine of €20 million.
Jeez.
I wrote this down straight away before I continued on. EU 1, ESA 0. Many of the ESA's board are part of the largest companies in game development, like I was saying before. They're not something that most people should support.
Yeah.
Like Bobby Kotick is on the board. Like that billionaire who runs Activision, who still tries to leak every single penny out of people that he can get.
Yeah.
Disgusting human being, really, to be honest. Because I wouldn't say that if he was just greedy, but he fires people to be more greedy. He's like the opposite of Robin Hood. And so that becomes a massive problem for the ESA, because they took... You see, the thing is, they didn't just collect personal data. EU citizens can be protected by this right, but they collected the data from those people while they were in Europe.
Okay.
So this law most definitely applies.
Yeah.
So
they people were in Europe accessing it. They weren't in America accessing it.
No, you misunderstood. They collected this data from people who were coming to E3, right?
Right.
But the people who gave the data in while they were in Europe, at home on their computers. They gave the data while they were in Europe.
Yeah.
So that means this law applies.
Yeah.
I think it would have applied anyway, because the law was about people who lived in Europe. So it protects their data, because the data is in relation to Europe.
So
but the fact they were in Europe and they
somebody has basically just messed up. They've just left this thing online. They weren't supposed to, and they've left a path to it.
Yeah, massively screwed up.
Somebody's up for the chop, or a team of people.
Well, they just had a new CEO, I think it was.
Right.
The ESA just had a new CEO chosen.
If they got a new CEO, I can imagine that they will be wanting to root this out as quickly as possible and find who's responsible for it.
I mean, he is. He's the CEO. He's responsible for everything, and the simple fact of the matter is they were told a month before they did anything about it. If that information is up for 5 minutes, that can be screenshots spread around the world. There's nothing you can do. They left it up for a month. Yeah. Unless this was the world's largest sting operation that just didn't go off. I don't really know what they were doing.
Yeah.
It's the slowest. They put the data out there and then they tightened the net around them, but they did it so slowly they were all able to get out and walk away.
Oh, this has just been a massive mess up for them.
It's like that scene in Austin Powers where he drives the really, really slow vehicle towards someone who doesn't get out of the way and then he runs him over. It takes like 5 minutes to get to him.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch. Actually, I was like, I need to rewatch those movies. I'm like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah, but I like them. But anyway, that's.
Is this possible that ESA may be taken down because of this, or a new structure, or possibly a new company
they'll get hit very hard by it, but
a massive fine. I'm
not convinced that they would be able to replace it, or that they would want to. They're a lobbyist group. They don't need to have a good public image.
Okay.
So I'm not convinced they would necessarily go through that. I just think that this has been very bad for them.
This is such a worrying thing because, I mean, there's loads of... people are constantly being hacked. I think that hackers or, this wasn't so much a hack, because obviously this was just like
it was
just a leak. But this kind of just shows again that, we need to be more vigilant of just... and more aware of what is online and all our personal details online. We just need to be a bit more careful with it.
Do you remember we spoke about this before E3? Why are they collecting all this personal data?
Yeah.
And then it got all leaked afterwards. Just don't collect data that you don't need to collect.
Yeah.
Because these people have had to change mobile phone numbers and stuff like that. That's actually how some of them found out. They were contacted by other people who were there saying, I've just had to change my number. You're like, hey guys, I've just had to change my number because E3 leaked all my personal data.
Yeah.
Oh, sad face emoji. And then that person's gone, wait a minute, I was at E3. And they've checked up and realised that they've got to change their numbers too.
So, sir, if one of our 13 listeners ever did go to E3, is there a way that you can check, or if they've taken this down now, if your details were...
If you went to the last E3, then I believe you had to give your information, therefore it's leaked. If you didn't go to the last E3, I don't think you've ever had to give your information.
But if is there a way you could check, or have they destroyed this pathway to find all this information now?
Oh, you wouldn't want to check that way either. The simple fact of the matter is, if you gave the ESA your personal information, it's leaked.
Okay.
That's the best way of thinking of it.
Right.
So phone numbers you can change, right?
Yeah, but...
How the hell do you change your home address?
You can't.
Yeah.
I think there is a possible way that you could do it, because I remember they changed... was it the Sherlock Holmes Museum? They changed its address so that it would fit in with the fact that it was actually Sherlock Holmes' address.
No, that's a special request that's been achieved.
Well, I'm sure this could be a special request as well.
You can't they could special request something for historical relevance, for the national economy, for tourism, that sort of thing. You can't special request an address change for your safety. They just make you move.
Nah.
So it's...
No winners here.
Well, there is. There's the EU, because they suddenly look like they actually care about people.
Yeah.
Or, well, they already did. People are able to see yet again another example of the EU actually protecting its people. It gives an example of why US rules are just ridiculously silly. Because a company genuinely thought they could get away with this. And it makes the ESA poorer and more vulnerable to attack from people who disagree with it, which should be all video gamers. All video gamers should despise the ESA, because their express function is to work on behalf of video game developers to damage the rights of consumers. That's what they're there for. But I don't think the ESA really understands what it's done.
No.
when it comes to picking a fight with the EU. Like, Britain is more powerful than the ESA, and look at what's happening to it.
Let's not go down that
You
road.
don't pick a fight with the EU. They know what they're doing, and their laws are very well written, and you're in trouble if you've broken one of them. Like we spoke about that 99% conviction rate for Japan. The EU will just step in and just say, "Here's your 20 million fine. Bye," and then leave.
Yeah.
It's not.
They should get fined because this was somebody's job to make sure this didn't happen, and they failed massively. Or a few people's jobs, and they failed massively. So yes, they need to be hit with a fine. They need to be, and needs to show the world that, again, we won't tolerate this kind of thing. This is This is a breach of DPA.
So if you gave your information, try and change what you can, and speak to a lawyer, because you will need to sue. Because obviously, if you need to move house, you're going to need some money to do that.
Yeah.
But this is going to be massive for the ESA because it's a bare minimum 20 million euros, and that doesn't include the fact that if you're suing in Europe, you'll probably be able to get more easily than you would in America. I know America has these ridiculous lawsuit laws, but their data protection rights are non-existent. In Europe, your data is protected like it's an individual person. So they're going to be in trouble here.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if the ESA just banned Europeans from coming to the next E3 to try and prevent that from happening again.
Well, at the moment, it looks like most Europeans who are gamers or anything like that are going to have to move out of the EU anyway. So
Why?
Because of copyright. There's serious gamers who are seriously considering moving out of the EU because of it. Because of, what was it, Proposition 13 or something like that.
Article 13.
Article 13, that's it.
Yeah, you've got a point. You made me look like a bit of an idiot there.
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying that the EU writes good laws that protect its people. This is one of the few times they don't,
I think it's because they don't really understand what it is.
No, they don't get it.
No.
They're buckling to what is frankly a rather pathetic group of music artists who want basically every single penny they can get, and so they're trying to protect copyright, but they're doing it in a way that just leaves no wiggle room at all.
I can understand people wanting to protect the music if another artist copyrights it.
But that's the point. It's not even artists that...
That's what I mean though. I can understand if they want to protect it against that, but when people are using it in a video to comment on a game, to comment on something...
No, but that's my point I'm trying to say to you, is it's not that. They're fine with other people using their music. It's just considered a version. But if you put their music on where they're singing, suddenly there's a problem. So you give them free advertisement and you're in trouble. If you steal their work, you're okay.
Yeah.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, no, because I think it was Katy Perry recently was there was a court case against her that she copyrighted somebody's music, and now she's facing the penalty for it.
Is the penalty death?
No.
Right. Well, it seems to be
it's
for
like
everybody
a
who
fine
does it on
or
YouTube.
something.
What's the fine?
I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, she's been found guilty of it in the courts in America.
So what was it exactly that she did?
She copyrighted. They decided that a piece of her music was from Dark Horse. Was very close to another musician, like a Christian rocker or something like that.
Right.
Like, it was very close, and they deemed it that this was a copyright case.
Copyright infringement is what you're looking for. No, but that's makes sense because they're stealing the piece of work. I get that. I'm talking about if they did an entire version, it would be considered artistic, variation.
As long as they gave money towards that original song, then yeah. It's because even if you do a cover of a song, I think that the person who wrote that still gets some of the royalties towards it.
Right. So Yeah, but if you do a small advertisement of 30 seconds while playing a game, they go mental.
Yeah, because they're not getting any money from it.
But they're getting advertisement for it.
They're not getting any money for it, though.
But they're getting advertisement, which then people go and listen.
But they're not getting any money from that, that's what I'm saying.
But they are, is what I'm saying, because it's free advertisement. So the point is, when you hear a 5-second snippet of a song, you go, oh, I love that song, let's look it up, and you listen to it on YouTube, you then get the advertisement money for it. That's how it works. What they're doing is shutting down YouTube. So they're not going to get any money from that, are they? Because only things which can be copyright verified can go on YouTube under Article 13. So they're not going to get anything. So
it's a crazy old world.
Thank you for making me look like an absolute spoon.
You're very welcome.
I defended the EU and said they write very good laws. In fairness, this one hasn't been written yet.
It's a proposition, isn't it?
They could fix it.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that it's written by corporate interest that doesn't actually know what it's doing, guided by egotistical artistes, and nobody's bothered to look at it yet. My hope is that they will and realise that this would shut down a huge number of jobs in the EU, and it's too unfair. Like, the copyright infringement laws are better than this.
I've taken us down a rabbit hole I didn't mean to take us down.
Well, you've forced me to defend my position because you're basically contradicting what I said. That's why we're in the rabbit hole. Because I have to point out that Article 13 hasn't been written yet.
You're dragging me down that rabbit hole with you. You're like, come on.
I'm dragging you all down the rabbit hole. Come, let us see Alice's adventures. No, basically the point is that the law hasn't been written yet, and it could still be fixed. And it's not something the EU has, I don't think, had much to do with. I think it was given to them as an idea, and they thought, oh, this is a good idea. But I'm hoping it will not come to pass, because it would be disastrous. Like that, it would be a really bad.
I'm calling time on this story. We've talked about it for a bit too long now.
Yeah.
We're going to have to move on.
When it comes to preserving the rights of individuals, with data protection, the EU is basically second to none. I mean, the UK is pretty good as well, to be fair. It's one of the few things they actually protect properly. Although that might change. But hopefully what does change is Article 13. So after you've embarrassed me, I will have to go and...
a very rare occasion.
Stab
Must
myself
be a blue moon tonight.
In the gizzards. Would you mind chopping off my head?
Yes, I would, actually.
Are you going to chop off my head?
No. Don't shake your head at me.
Well, I can, because you've not chopped it off. I don't know if this is sexism, racism.
I'm going to end it there.
You refusing to chop my head off after
So if you've enjoyed this
video,
much, you could like the video, you subscribe to our channel, you can hit that little notification bell, that'd be fantastic. Leave a comment on the video, that'd be brilliant. Talk about how I don't understand what Tommy's talking about it towards the end there about chopping off his head. That's a really weird thing to say to me.
No, it's not. It's seppuku. You stab yourself in the stomach, draw it across your
okay,
abdomen,
let's come on, family friendly. Shush.
No, that's history. You can talk about history. Kids at like 7
You can follow
learn
us
about
on
burning
Facebook
witches.
at overshadow.shadowcast, and you can email us at overshadow.shadowcast@gmail.com.
So any comments welcome about how what you feel about the people being replaced on games, about the exhibit Abigail saw, or about how the ESA is pure evil and the EU is always writing amazing laws, apart from that one time that Abigail pointed out that made me look like a fool.
If you've actually been to the exhibit, if you want to talk about it, you can talk about that in the comments. You can discuss with your friends about it.
No spoilers, please.
There is no real spoilers for it.
Well, no, but it references games and things that people could still talk about. Spoilers is what I'm saying. So one thing we don't want to see in the comments is spoilers. Please.
Yeah.
Right, you shouldn't be.
Let's all be considerate of each other.
I just remember there's one guy at the university who decided to sit down for 5 minutes and spoil a whole lot of endings to things, and we couldn't stop him. Like, short of assaulting him, we couldn't get him to shut up.
Nice. Okay then.
So we assaulted him.
You're gonna get us done one day. You know that for the kinds of things you say.
I'm kidding. We just had to sit there and let him
his views and his comments are his own. They are not mine. I can't control what comes out of that mouth of his.
That's what she said.
Okay.
I was going to say that to the previous comment, but you interrupted me. Again. Ow. You ready to go?
Yep, so thanks for joining us.
And we hope to see you here. We
hope that you listen next week.
We hope that you hear us next week.
Yes.
And that we haven't been shut down by YouTube.
By EU.
Article
13.
13. The ESA. Bolts of lightning. Acts of God. The moon. Space Jesus. Any of these things that might stop us, we hope, don't happen.
Space Jesus.
Yeah. I think that massive big billowing like robe that he wore would just be amazing in space. It'd be like Superman's cape.
I'm just imagining, like a Silver Surfer.
Yeah. But he's surfing on a giant Jesus beard.
No, not so much that. Right, okay, I'm gonna end it there because we're going down a really weird road now.
And his hair is his cape.
I'm gonna let you think about that and think about what you've just done there. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye bye.